the 47 GST Council meeting and amendment made therein and some recommendations of the 47 GST Council meeting. So, if we take took the overview, the 47 GST Council meeting held for 2 days. तो ये जो GST Council meeting हुआ वो 2 दिन के लिए हुआ on 28 June and 29 June. After that, on immediately on the same day of 29 June, they issued a press release subject to certain notifications. So, press release they had issued whatever recommendation that has made to GST Council meeting. तो हम बोल सकते हैं कि उस दिन जो भी रिकमेंडेशन हुए उसमें से सब रिकमेंडेशन आर ऑलरेडी नोटिफाइड. तो almost 5 notifications are issued under the CGST Act to notify certain recommendation made via that or included in that press release. तो अभी तक सब notify नहीं हुए हैं. So we'll discuss whatever notified and whatever not notified till now. Then if we see that the circular, so certain clarifications are also issued with respect to certain issues faced by the taxpayer as well as even the authorities, like the fake invoicing. I think this is a more critical issue everyone is facing. So what are the penalties levied? What are the demands that can be made in the cases wherein involve the fake invoicing? So these clarifications are issued. So certain key clarifications are issued and certain key clarifications are recommended also. So that is yet to be issued. So our today's session has divided into the categories. First, we will discuss the amendment for which notifications are issued. मतलब जो अमेंडमेंट ऑलरेडी नोटिफाई किए हैं ऑन द 5th ऑफ द जुलाई. तो 5 जुलाई को जो नोटिफिकेशन इशू हुए 5 नोटिफिकेशन उसमें जो अमेंडमेंट नोटिफाई कर दिए गए हुए वो हम पहले डिस्कस करेंगे एंड देन वी विल डिस्कस द रिकमेंडेशन व्हिच आर येट टू बी नोटिफाइड. तो वो जो रिकमेंडेशन प्रेस रिलीज में तो इंक्लूडेड है बट इट इज नॉट येट नोटिफाइड, मतलब नोटिफिकेशन उसके अभी तक इशू हुए नहीं है. So friends, let's start with first related to the amendments which are notified. So during the session, anyone having any queries, they can ask through the chat box or we'll discuss at the end of the session. Even we can interact together. So we'll unmute and interact. So if any barrier during that, please let us type in the chat box. So let's discuss first the amendment notified. तो कौन से amendment notify हुए हैं? So first of all, critical amendment which is with respect to levy of interest. So levy of interest के लिए आप अगर देखोगे तो 2 notification रेफर करने पड़ेंगे. Notification number 9/2022 and notification number 14/2022. So these 2 notifications are relevant with respect to interest. तो हमें पता है कि इंटरेस्ट में आज तक मतलब अगर 2019 में इंटरेस्ट में फर्स्ट चेंज आया था जो प्रोविजन जो सेक्शन 50 अंडर सेक्शन 15 इट इज रिकमेंडेड टू पे द इंटरेस्ट ऑन द नेट कैश. मतलब अप टू 2019 ये कंफ्यूजन था कि जो इंटरेस्ट है वो एप्लीकेबल होता था इवन यू आर हैविंग अ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक लेजर बैलेंस इन द क्रेडिट लेजर एंड तो जो भी क्रेडिट लेजर बैलेंस है उसके ऊपर तो ग्रॉस लायबिलिटी है the interest will be levied. But 2009 में first recommendation आया था कि it should be on the net cash payable and accordingly time to time amendment किए गए. तो अभी क्या amendment है? Now the amendment is respect to the ITC availed and utilized. तो whatever the wording earlier, तो issue क्या था? Earlier if you see the section 53, that is section 50 subsection 3, उसमें बोला था कि whenever there is an undue excess claim, so even the availment, only the availment will lead to consequences of interest and that is also the 24%. So it's a huge consequences only because of wrong availment. So now this section 50 subsection 3 has changed and this is this change in the Finance Act 2022. So recommended in the budget only 22, but now it's notified. So notification issued and now get notified. So what if the there is a wrongly availed and utilized. So unless and until that credit is get utilized, interest is not levied. So only wrongly availed and utilized interest will be levied. Only the question at what rate. So why this question arises? Because friends, if we see the budget or Finance Act 2022, it is proposed that the section 15 subsection 3 is also 18% or it going to propose or notify the rate 18%. Definitely this amendment is retrospective, that has rule 88B, which is inserted with respect to this amendment, is retrospectively, but the interest in such cases is whatever the amendment come is saying that 24%. So interest levied in availment and utilization be 24% unless until it will use by notification. Now under notification 14, if you refer this notification, they had given the 3 cases. तो ये notification में 3 cases explain किए हैं. First case, let's say first scenario जो notification में दिया है कि taxpayer ने let's say it's the liability of this month, मतलब जुलाई month का liability है, and that July month liability is disclosed in the July month only, and the return of July month instead of filing in the August, so August 20 is the due date of the July month return, instead of filing in the August he has filed in the December. So July month का liability है, July month में ही disclose हुआ है और उसने interest December में file किया है, then he will get the benefit of the payment of interest on the net cash. तो जितना भी ITC है, ITC पोर्शन जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर में है उसमें उसको इंटरेस्ट नहीं भरना है, ओनली द इंटरेस्ट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू नेट कैश अवेलेबल. बट यही रिटर्न लेट्स से अगर फाइल किया आफ्टर रिटर्न प्रोसीडिंग अंडर सेक्शन 73-74, मतलब उन्होंने टैक्स पेयर ने रिटर्न सेम मंथ का है, लाइबिलिटी सेम मंथ का है, बट रिटर्न फाइल किया आफ्टर द प्रोसीडिंग ऑफ 73 और 74. तो 73 मतलब प्रोसीडिंग्स विदाउट फ्रॉड एंड नेग्लिजेंस एंड 74 विथ फ्रॉड. सो अगर प्रोसीडिंग्स के बाद फाइल करते हैं देन दिस बेनिफिट इज नॉट अवेलेबल, मतलब इंटरेस्ट is levied on the gross, so it's interest net cash payable, that benefit is not available. So even on ITC interest will be levied even the taxpayer is having an ITC balance. Now this interest is levied under subsection 1, so it's an 18% interest. Now third scenario is related to ITC. तो पहले जो 2 सिनारियो हमने डिस्कस किए, that is with respect to output liability, whether output liability पे interest gross liability भी होगा या net liability. Now third scenario is with respect to ITC availment, जो हमने अभी just discuss किया कि regarding act subsection 50 subsection 3 has changed. So section 50 subsection 3 has changed. So regarding that, the cases where the ITC wrongly availed and utilized. So the notification says that interest is to be calculated on the amount for the period starting from the date of utilization till the date of reversal. So now again issue was there. तो हमने जब भी अथॉरिटी से इंटरेक्ट किया या कभी भी टैक्स पेयर से इंटरेक्ट किया तो इशू क्या था, ठीक है अगर रॉन्गली अवेल्ड एंड यूटिलाइजेशन पे इंटरेस्ट लगता है बट वो कॉम्प्यूट कैसे होगा, मतलब डेट जो है which is the date, whether my return filing date, due date of return filing, that means 20, or return filing date which is to be considered, or second that is to be considered, or date of debit in the electronic credit ledger, तो वो consider करना है interest computation के लिए. So now by way of notification it is said that if the utilization of or the let's say my electronic मतलब मैंने wrong ITC जो है अवेल किया, wrong ITC अवेल किया 1 लाख रुपए. सो जब तक मेरे क्रेडिट लेजर बैलेंस में 1 लाख रुपए है और वो 1 लाख रुपीज लोअर होते हैं, उसके बाद मुझे इंटरेस्ट कॉम्प्यूट करना है, बट इंटरेस्ट इज टू बी कॉम्प्यूटेड इफ दैट अमाउंट इज लोअर ड्यू टू द पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस बाय वे ऑफ 3B, मतलब मैंने 3B के पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस के वजह से अगर लो होता है, then I have to consider the due date or the return filing date, whichever is earlier. मतलब let's say due date is 20th of the next month और मैंने उसके पहले अगर रिटर्न फाइल किया है, then that is the date from which interest is required to be computed for the purpose of interest wrongly availed and utilized. Now second scenario हो सकता है कि मैंने 3B थ्रू रिड्यूस नहीं हुआ है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर, बट इट इज रिड्यूस्ड बाय वे ऑफ DRC 03, मतलब कोई भी लाइक से मैंने सेक्शन 73 74 में जो प्रोसीडिंग चालू है उसके अंडर कुछ पेमेंट किया, GST ऑडिट के अंडर कुछ पेमेंट किया, सो इट्स रिड्यूस्ड बिकॉज ऑफ द DRC 07 electronic credit ledger, then the date of debit in the credit ledger is required to be considered for the computing of the interest. So definitely whatever the issue with respect to what is the date to be considered, तो हमें कौन सा डेट लेना है इंटरेस्ट कंप्यूटेशन के लिए, that is now notified or clarified when you can say. So it's easy that which date you have to consider for the purpose of utilization. But friends, even after reading these notifications or whatever the section related amendment, there are some issues still pending. तो वो कौन से इश्यूज है, तो हम आप भी कुछ इश्यूज शेयर कर सकते हैं जो आपने प्रैक्टिकली में भी सफर किया रहेगा इन द केसेस वेयर इंटरेस्ट इज रॉन्गली अवेल्ड एंड यूटिलाइज्ड. बट हम कुछ केसेस शेयर कर रहे हैं जिसमें अभी भी अनआंसर्ड क्वेश्चन है. First of all, we said that the retrospective amendment, definitely this is amendment, whatever related interest availed and utilization is retrospective. But again, the rate as discussed, the rate is still under confusion because it's a once it's we availed and utilized, so it's 24%, so huge consequence to the taxpayer in case of wrong availment and utilization. Second, provide the only this availed and utilization wording is changed only for the interest and not for the penalty. So one can say if interest is only availed or wrongly availed, penalty is still there, so authorities can levy the penalty in such a cases. So unless and until the wording of that section is also penalty section also get changed, even the inter or ITC wrongly availed will lead to penalty. Second, if we see balance in the GST and not CGST, so हमें ये भी सिनारियो पता है कि कभी-कभी जो अवेलमेंट है वो CGST के रिलेटेड रहता है, HGST में बैलेंस होता है, और HGST के लिए रिलेटेड अवेलमेंट है तो IGST में बैलेंस है. So there can be the cross, so that balance is going to be considered or not. Definitely this is not specifically included in the act also. So again, this is to be considered not whether CGST IGST balance can be adjusted if there is an IGST credit available. So this is again not clear. Second, what if the liability of the March month disclosed in the month? So friends, let's say scenario हमने जो डिस्कस किया कि जुलाई मंथ का लायबिलिटी है वो जुलाई मंथ में ही डिस्क्लोज किया, बट व्हाट इफ माय जुलाई मंथ तो मेरा मार्च मंथ का लायबिलिटी था. सो लेट्स से मार्च 22 का लायबिलिटी था, मैंने रिकंसाइल करते वक्त मार्च 22 का लायबिलिटी मुझे याद आया कि लास्ट मंथ का लायबिलिटी मैंने पे किया नहीं और मार्च रिटर्न भर भी दिया है. सो मार्च रिटर्न आई हैड फाइल्ड, बट the certain liability is pending and I had showed in the month of the July, तो ये मंथ में मैंने डिस्क्लोज किया. So the benefit of the net cash payment, मतलब जो ITC अगर हम मेरे क्रेडिट लेजर में है और ओनली नेट कैश पेमेंट पे मैं इंटरेस्ट पे कर पाऊंगी, so no, this benefit is not available in such a cases because if you see the wording or case discussed in notification 14/22, it says that supplies made during the taxpayer are declared in the return of the said taxpayer. So supplies made in the same taxpayer is required to be disclosed if taxpayer intend to have the benefit of the net cash. तो अगर मेरा लास्ट मंथ का लायबिलिटी मैंने नेक्स्ट मंथ में जाके ट्रेस हुआ और मैंने डिस्क्लोज किया, then the net interest levy of interest will be on the gross amount and not on the net amount. Now Second issue which is still unresolved is what if there is an increase and decrease in electronic credit ledger. मतलब जो हमारा एग्जांपल था, लेट से 1 लाख रुपीस मैंने जो आईटीसी है वो रॉन्गली अवेल किया है, बट 1 लाख मैंने कुछ टाइम के लिए यूटिलाइज किया, अनलेस अगेन आई हैड अवेल सर्टेन क्रेडिट विच इंक्रीज द माय इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर अबव 1 lakh. After some time that again get reduced, so whatever the flip of or increase or decrease in the electronic credit ledger, that will be get considered while computing of the interest or not. This again unanswered, or once it is again utilized, then it will be the carry interest is levied for all the period. That is again unanswered with respect to this notification issue. So these are certain key highlights, or one can say this issues is still there with respect to computation of the interest in cases of the section 50 subsection 3. Now this is the amendment with respect to interest. So interest के related अगर कोई भी question है, then we will discuss at the end of the session. First we will discuss whatever the amendments. So second amendment is related to transfer of balance cash ledger. Again notification 9/22 is required to be referred and notification 14/20. So 9/22 में जो सेक्शन फाइनेंस एक्ट 22 में इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, सेक्शन 4910, that is notified via this notification, that is 9/22, and via notification 14 the form PMT 09 prescribed. So what is the issue first? अगर कंपनी का पैन नंबर सेम है and company having a different branches in different state, for the purpose of GST, each state having an each GST number, and that is the distinct person. So let's say agar same PAN having the one branch in Maharashtra and HO in Gujarat, then it has a two GST number and two distinct person. So the issue was that the Maharashtra, if Maharashtra unit having a cash ledger but not having any liability, तो Maharashtra unit का cash ledger Gujarat unit use कर सकता है क्या? So that is not available. But now by way of PMT 09, the whatever the cash available in the Maharashtra unit can be transferred to Gujarat, and that can be used in the Gujarat unit. So this is possible. Second set transfers is allowed with the condition, and condition क्या है कि Maharashtra unit not having any unpaid liability. If Maharashtra unit having any unpaid liability, then this transfer is not allowed. So this condition is prescribed. Form prescribed is PMT 09. Definitely this is one of the user friendly amendment. So for the benefit of the taxpayer, whoever having a one PAN and having a distinct entity in numerous states can use this very well to maintain the working capital balance. So this amendment, I think, not complicated, so not discussed much. If any query, we'll discuss. Third amendment, which is notified, it is respect to GST refund. Again, this is a key amendment, friends. So please try to be with us, because there, with respect to GST refund, there are almost 3-4 amendments, and which are all are key amendments. First amendment is with respect to recredit of amount of refund. तो पहले हम इशू अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं, व्हाट वाज द इशू, क्योंकि अगर इशू डिस्कस, जब भी हम इशू डिस्कस करते हैं, देन ओनली विल गेट व्हाई दैट अमेंडमेंट एंड रैशनल ऑफ दैट अमेंडमेंट. तो इशू क्या था? लेट्स से कंपनी का रिफंड सैंक्शन हो गया. So you are aware that the 90% refund gets sanctioned on the provisional basis without detailed verification of that refund. So sanction हो गया, but बाद में after verification it is observed that refund is erroneous refund sanction. मतलब जो refund available नहीं था taxpayer पे में, maybe there are various scenarios like he is availing the benefit of FTP, or second could be that ITC is not reflected in that way. So there could be the many reasons because of our competition drawn. तो कोई भी reason है, because of that erroneous refund was sanctioned earlier by the authorities, and now authorities intend to recover that refund, and taxpayer also paid the refund along with interest and penalty if levied. तो taxpayer ने भी वो refund, whatever erroneous refund deposited or the deposited to the government exchequer. But what is the issue? Even after depositing the whatever the refund along with the interest and penalty if applicable, the issue was the how I will get the credit of that. तो क्रेडिट तो मुझे मिलना चाहिए, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर में वो रिफ्लेक्ट होना चाहिए. So that was the issue. So now the form PMT 03A is prescribed to recredit that amount to the electronic credit ledger. So by way of that form 03A, the taxpayer get the recredit of that amount once he has paid the all the refund to the government along with the interest and penalty if applicable. So once he paid, so PMT 03A prescribed. Again, some declaration is required to be given, and that declaration is also specified in the notification that we are not going to litigate the case, etc. Then this recredit is available. So it enables the taxpayer to get the recredit of the erroneous refund paid back to the authorities in the electronic credit ledger. So this is one of the amendment, key amendment with respect to refund. Second amendment with respect to inverted duty structure. Again, this amendment is very important for the taxpayer having inverted duty. तो जिनको inverted duty structure पता नहीं उनके लिए पहले just shortly what is inverted duty structure. Inverted duty structure means मेरा output का जो GST rate है वो कम है than input. मतलब let's say मेरा output में जो मैं product supply कर रही हूँ that is chargeable to 5%. बट मैं इनपुट जो परचेस कर रही हूँ वो प्रोडक्ट के लिए दैट इज 18%, 28%. तो ये केस में जो एक्यूमुलेटेड क्रेडिट है उसका रिफंड हमें मिल जाता है. सो दैट रिफंड इज प्रिस्क्राइब्ड वाया रूल 89(5) एंड फॉर्मूला इज प्रिस्क्राइब्ड. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एवरीवन may aware about the regarding apex court decision. And apex court in the case of the VKC said that in case of inverted duty, the input services refund is not available. So it is now clear that for the inverted duty structure, only the input credit refund is available. But if you see the formula of rule 89(5), that formula earlier क्या था कि हम डेफिनेटली एक तो इनपुट का ही रिफंड ले सकते थे टू द प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ द टर्नओवर ऑफ इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी. तो मेरा लेट से कुछ इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी का टर्नओवर है एंड कुछ नॉर्मल टर्नओवर है. सो द proportionate of the inverted duty only input refund is available, but whatever the proportion from that I have to minus the all tax payable. The tax payable with respect to inverted duty as well as the other taxpayer related to input services. But now it is specified that the tax payable with respect to only the goods or whatever the inputs is required to be deducted. So this formula has changed, and the whatever the next portion it is highlighted, that is tax payable, that is total whatever the tax payable in that month is required to take the proportion of the net ITC, that is to the extent of input. So whatever the my input divided by total input plus input services ratio, to that extent only the deduction. So definitely it will अगर हम ये formula देखते हैं तो to some extent we can say that the benefit of input services is now available. So earlier क्या होता था कि when I deduct the tax, many times negative refund get comes. But abhi maybe this will benefit the taxpayer who are having the input services credit. So only tax payable to the extent of input or in the ratio of input and total ITC regarding the input and input services is required to be divided, and to the extent of input we have to deduct. So this is the formula change, I can say, and this will benefit to the taxpayer. So it will increase the refund in the cases where the there is an input tax credit of input services. Now this is the second amendment. So first amendment we had seen about the refund related to recredit of refund. Second amendment we had seen related to inverted duty structure. This is again notified. Third amendment related to if this is not an amendment, this is the circular, and that is again inverted duty structure. So this circular issued for clarification. तो first of all, what is the issue? Issue क्या था? तो फ्रेंड्स इशू ये था कि मेरा अगर इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी स्ट्रक्चर है ड्यू टू कंसेशनल नोटिफिकेशन issued by the government. So there are certain lower rate prescribed by the government under the concessional notification. तो let's say वो प्रोडक्ट के लिए तो 18% है, but certain taxpayer or for the services or for the taxpayer, the concessional net notification is prescribed by the government. तो इसके लिए इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी स्ट्रक्चर का रिफंड अलाउड है या नहीं है. So friends, it is clarified that whatever the benefit available to inverted duty structure with respect to refund of input tax credit would be available to the concessional notification issued by the government. So it is same treated as an inverted duty structure and that refund is available. So we had seen the clarification with respect to inverted duty also. Now, second amendment is respect to pending IGST refund. अभी ये amendment again user friendly one can say, and what is the issue for the taxpayer will discuss. Certain taxpayers are declared as a risky taxpayer by the custom. अभी custom authorities there are certain parameters under the custom on the basis of which तो कुछ taxpayer है जिनको risky exporter कहा गया है, and whatever the risky exporter, for them the refund is withheld. तो कस्टम अथॉरिटीज ने वो जो रिफंड है दैट इज आइदर सस्पेंडेड और विथहेल्ड करके रखा है बिकॉज ऑफ दैट रिस्की एक्सपोर्टर. तो ये जो रिफंड है वो इवन वी नो सम टैक्सपेयर व्हिच रिफंड्स आर विथहेल्ड. तो ये जो रिफंड है उनका डिटेल्ड रिव्यू होना चाहिए. सो उसकी वजह से और क्विक रिव्यू के वजह से अमेंडमेंट मेड बाय नोटिफिकेशन 40 and such refund is now going to be transferred to the jurisdictional GST authorities. मतलब वो जो भी IGST के रिफंड है वो jurisdictional GST authorities को ट्रांसफर होंगे and that is by way of GST RFD 018. तो अभी आपको पता रहेगा कि whenever I file the refund of the IGST with the custom authorities, that is not required separate filing. तो shipping bill और जब भी फाइल होता है that the date when the refund has been claimed. So no separate form, but because of they are transferring the refund to the GST authority, whatever withheld refund, it is said that the whatever the 2-year time limit, it should be deemed that the refund is filed on the date of such a transmission. So जिस दिन transmission GST authorities को और jurisdictional GST authorities को किया जाएगा, that is the date or deemed to be the date when the refund is filed. अभी उसमें दो बेनिफिट हो जाएंगे. एक तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टैक्सपेयर को यूजर फ्रेंडली दे कैन connect with the jurisdictional GST authorities to expedite the refund, and jurisdictional GST authorities also can able to verify the all documents and etc. related to the risky exporter. So verification will get quickly, and this will expedite the disposal of IGST refund. So this is one of the amendments. So we've seen 3 amendments related to refund and 1 clarification with respect to inverted duty. 4th amendment is related to remittation period. तो आपको सबको पता है कि 2 years relevant date, from the 2 years of relevant date there is a up to 2 years refund is allowed under section 54 and 55. Now it is said due to COVID, many of the taxpayers are unable to file the refund. Again, many of the authorities unable to process the refund also. So now notification 13 by says that the time period from 1/3/22 has excluded from calculation of limitation period. So ये जो 2 year है 20, 21 और 22. So that are excluded from the calculation of the refund of the 2 years. So 2 years exclude करके हमें 2 years compute करके time period refund ये time limitation period से exclude होगा, and then you can file the refund for that period. Similarly, section 13 has amended, and whatever the refund related order or demand order can be issued by the authorities by excluding this period. So even for demand, this period is excluded. So even for filing of the refund claim, this period is excluded, and even for the demand, this period is excluded. So this is again related to refund or limitation of the period. Other amendment with respect to refund. So we had said key amendments till now related to refund. Some minor amendments also related to refund. First of all, electricity. So whatever the ITC with respect to export of electricity is now provided. First of all, what was the issue? Electricity is not qualified as a goods, and hence there is no filing of shipping bill, etc., and no document is available. And accordingly, section 89BA is inserted to prescribe the specific documentation with respect to electricity refund. So now the whoever engaged in the export of electricity, they can submit the document as per the rule 89BA, and they can claim the refund with respect to ITC. Second amendment with respect to supply from duty-free shops. So you are aware that the duty-free shops are available at the international terminals or the port, wherein outgoing of the international earlier the whatever the outgoing or the whatever purchased by the international passenger are treated as an export, and export benefit were available. But now this export benefit has withdrawn, and now from the onwards, this export benefit is not available to such a duty-free shops. So it's now taxable. So these are the amendment with respect to refund. So हमने refund related, तो हमने interest related amendment देखा. Now refund related amendment देखा, and one related to electronic cash ledger or transfer of electronic cash. Fourth amendment is with respect to GST return. So friends, पहले तो GST return में amendment कुछ specify किए हैं, and certain amendments authorities or by the press release it is said that certain comprehensive changes are proposed in GSTR 3B. So हम जो GSTR 3B monthly file करते हैं उसमें some comprehensive changes prescribe किए हैं, but they are saying that the that whatever the changes in the GSTR 3B are first to be placed in the public domain. तो वो recommendation के लिए, inputs के लिए, suggestion के लिए definitely it is the I think it is one of the good step taken by the GST Council, that it is going to be available in the public domain for the inputs and suggestion, and then that comprehensive changes are going to be made. But certain changes in the GSTR 3B is already notified. So revised GSTR 3B is not placed in the public domain, but certain changes is notified, and this may be get reflected in this month 3B or in the next month 3B. So what are the changes? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर के रिलेटेड चेंज है. सो हम आगे डिस्कस करेंगे कि हमें आज का पोजीशन ऐसा है कि नाउ अर्लियर व्हाट हैपन व्हेनेवर एनी टैक्स पेयर इज सेलिंग द प्रोडक्ट और गुड्स और सर्विसेज थ्रू द ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर, देन द 20 लाख का जो रजिस्ट्रेशन का लिमिट था वो उसको एप्लीकेबल नहीं था. फ्रॉम द जीरो लिमिट ही रिक्वायर्ड टू कंपल्सरी टेक द रजिस्ट्रेशन, but this is amended, this provision is amended, and now he is not required to register. So we'll discuss this separately, but due to this amendment now the changes had been made in the GSTR 3B, and any supply related to e-commerce operator is required to reported in the table 3.1.1. अभी उसमें उन्होंने अगर 3.1.1 first table में first table is to be furnished by the e-commerce operator, so it's applicable to e-commerce operator, and second table is applicable to the taxpayer who are supplying the product through the e-commerce operator. So this table has been prescribed or inserted in the GSTR 3B. You may take the GSTR 3B of this month, or it may get changed from the next month. Now second change in GSTR 3B is by way of, or this is not a change, this is clarification. So these tables are available earlier also, but now the clarifications are given, certain clarifications are given. So everyone knows that we disclose the B2B supply in the GSTR 1, B2C supply in GSTR 1, but many times what happened, the supply with respect to interstate supply made to the URD and composition dealer, which is required to be disclosed separately, are not disclosed by the taxpayer. So now it is said it is required or it is mandatory to disclose sale. So friends, many times we say that for the taxpayer, in case of URT supply, if that URT supply is above the prescribed limit, then आपको जो एड्रेस है यूआरडी के और कस्टमर के एड्रेस मेंटेन करने हैं, उसका प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई मेंटेन करना है. सो नाउ इट्स मेड कंपलसरी कि आपको जो भी सप्लाई इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई टू यूआरडी एंड कंपोजिशन डीलर, तो आपका जो भी GSTR1 का सप्लाई है दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी बाइफरगेटेड इनटू B2B एंड डेफिनेटली सप्लाइज टू यूआरडी along with place of supply in the table 3.2. तो ये आपको बाइफरगेट करना ही करना है. सेकंड अमेंडमेंट इज रिलेटेड टू टेबल 9 एंड 10. टेबल 9 एंड 10 में क्या है? टेबल 9 एंड 10 में हम अमेंडमेंट करते हैं GSTR1 में. सो वो अमेंडमेंट 3B में सेपरेटली आपको रिपोर्ट करने होंगे टेबल 3.2 में. तो जो भी अमेंडमेंट आपने के लिए किए हैं, लेट्स से you had amended any invoice, any particulars of the or amount of the credit note etc. via table 9 and table 10 of the GSTR1, तो उसका impact 3B में भी देना है under table 3.2. So this is again made mandatory or by way of circular they had clarified. So this clarification with respect to outward supply. Some of the clarification with respect to inward supply. फ्रेंड्स, अभी अगर आप GSTR 3B फाइल कर रहे हैं तो हम क्या करते हैं, टोटल ITC नेट ITC अवेल करते हैं एंड व्हाटएवर द रिवर्सल विल डिस्क्लोज बिलो दैट व्हिच इज नॉट इंक्लूडेड इन द नेट ITC, एंड नेट ITC जो भी है वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर के क्रेडिट हो जाता है. बट नाउ दे हैड इंसर्टेड द टेबल 4B1 एंड पार्ट 1 एंड पार्ट 2. तो टेबल आपको इनएलिजिबल क्रेडिट, अभी everyone knows that the whatever the credit is get auto populated from the 2A or 2B whatever may be. तो 2B से अगर auto populate होता है तो वो total credit है जिसमें 75 भी included है और even the reversal included है. So now because of that you have to avail the total credit, and from that total credit now you have to reduce the ineligible credit. Eligible credit separately दिखाना है and that is compulsory. Whatever under section 75 is required to be disclosed under table 4B. Then reversal under rules 37, 42, 43. तो आपका कोई भी एग्जाम का रिवर्सल है, बैंकिंग के रिलेटेड रिवर्सल है और कैपिटल गुड्स का रिवर्सल है, तो वो टेबल 4B पार्ट 1 में अगेन वो सेपरेटली डिस्क्लोज करना है. Whatever the temporary reversal मतलब क्या, 180 डेज का जो रिवर्सल है आपको रिवर्स करना है और बाद में फिर से रिक्लेम करना है. तो ऐसा कोई रिवर्सल है तो टेबल 4B2 में दिखाना है. And then that total whatever auto populated product is required to be deducted and net ITC is required to compute, and that net ITC is now going to be reflected in the electronic credit ledger. So we can say that the ITC related computation has changed drastically, and please note this change and report accordingly because this reporting has made mandatory. Second, if there is a temporary reversal like 180 days, then reclaim is also for the reclaiming table is also provided table 4A5 and that required to be used. So please see and file the GSTR 3B correctly from the next month, or if this change whenever this change introduced in the 3B. Second, please note that the ITC, अगर आप 2A देखोगे तो certain ITC is not available, वो 2A में ही समझ में आ जाता. और वो ITC कौन सा है? 2A में जो नो आता है वो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल 16.4 का, मतलब जहाँ पे आपने वेंडर ने, अभी हम लीगल प्रोविजन नहीं डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, वेदर आपके वेंडर ने अगर GSTR1 डिलेटली फाइल किया तो वो केस लिटिगेट कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते. डेफिनेटली इन अवर व्यू दैट कैन बी लिटिगेटेड, बट in GSTR 2A if you show, अगर आपके वेंडर ने लेट से GSTR1 सितंबर के बाद फाइल किया है तो GSTR 2A में वो क्रेडिट नॉट अवेलेबल आता है. एंड इवन GSTR 2A गिव द क्रेडिट नॉट अवेलेबल इन केस प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाईज द विद इन द स्टेट. फॉर एग्जांपल मैं महाराष्ट्र में हूँ, मैं गुजरात गई, अगर होटल में मैंने कोई स्टे किया और उसके रिलेटेड GST है तो GSTR 2A में प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई गुजरात है, इसके वजह से वहां पे नो आता है, that is credit is not available and that get auto populated in the table 4D, that is मतलब after net ITC and this credit is not included in the total ITC. तो जब भी आप डिडक्ट कर रहे हैं तो प्लीज नोट दैट दिस क्रेडिट इज ऑलरेडी एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम द टोटल ITC, so don't exclude again while excluding eligible credit under section 17(5) etc. तो आपको सिर्फ 3 क्रेडिट करने हैं कि eligible credit 17(5) का एक्सक्लूड करना है. Reversal under rule 37, 32, 43 and any temporary reversal other than what is discussed. तो ये दो आपको नहीं करना है. So definitely this will increase the burden of the taxpayer because आपको जो भी ITC है, कौन सा ITC ऑटोमेटिक वे में रिवर्स हो रहा है वो पहले देखना है बुक्स में से. And other than that, you have to deduct from the total ITC. So taxpayer has to deduct from the total ITC. So this is related to GSTR 3B. GSTR 9 is prescribed for the other miscellaneous changes for the return is GSTR 9 is prescribed for the financial year, even though 9C is prescribed from the financial year 22-21. Limit is same. 9 is applicable above 2 crore, 9C is applicable above 5 crore. And accordingly, rule has amended regarding 9(9)(c). GSTR 4, which is applicable to composition dealer, as again due date or waiver of late fee has given. तो late fee waive की है delay in filing of GSTR पर. वो late fee waive हुए till the 28 July 2022. तो आप 28 जुलाई तक फाइल कर सकते हैं. थोड़े दिन है, जल्दी से फाइल कर लो. अगर किसी की भी GSTR 4 पेंडिंग है, अगेन इंटरेस्ट इज नॉट waived, late fee is, तो एनी पेमेंट इन GSTR 4 will liable to interest. CMP 08, again this is a form related to composition dealer, applicable to the first quarter of financial year 22-23. The date is extended up to 31st July 2022. तो उसका भी डेट एक्सटेंड किया है 31st July 22 and 22. So you can file the if it is pending CMP 08. So whatever amendment we had discussed related to return. तो हमने रिटर्न के रिलेटेड जो भी क्लैरिफिकेशन इशू हुए हैं, जो भी अमेंडमेंट हुए हैं, जो नोटिफाई किए हैं, दैट वी हैड डिस्कस्ड. नाउ द अमेंडमेंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कैंसलेशन ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन. अगेन व्हाट वाज द इशू? तो हम पहले इशू डिस्कस करते हैं क्यों ये अमेंडमेंट आया. तो एवरीवन अवेयर दैट द इशू विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कैंसलेशन क्या था कि अगर कुछ पीरियड के लिए मैंने रिटर्न फाइल किया नहीं और टैक्स पेयर ने रिटर्न फाइल किया नहीं तो ऑटोमेटिक जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल होता था. तो पहले रिवोकेशन के नोटिस आते थे, बाद में कैंसिलेशन होता है. तो पहले ये पीरियड 6 मंथ का था, बाद में वो रिड्यूस होके 2 मंथ का हुआ, बाद में वो रिड्यूस होके 1 मंथ का हुआ. सो देयर आर मेनी लिटिगेशन पेंडिंग विद द इवन एपेलेट अथॉरिटी कि जिनके भी रिजेक्शन हुए हैं और कैंसिलेशन हुए हैं रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑटोमेटिक ड्यू टू नॉन फाइलिंग ऑफ द रिटर्न. तो वो जीएसटी पे नहीं कर सकते थे and even they can't file the return due to the cancellation of the registration. So many times this rule has amended. So if you see the notification 20/2019, at that time rules amended to include proviso. So what time पे again afterwards rule amended for the revocation. तो revocation में कुछ time period बढ़ा के दिया. So if they specify the procedure to increase the time period, whatever with respect to period of 30 days for calculation of the revision. So many changes during the period किए गए from 2019 to 2021 and now in 2022 definitely this is an user friendly amendment, even not only for the taxpayer but I can say for the government and authorities also. That is the automatic revocation. So now taxpayer can file the return even after cancellation of the registration. Once he filed the return, paid the interest, liability, whatever the late fee applicable, there is an automatic revocation of the, it's prescribed that the now automatic revocation of the suspension of registration in case of non-filing of return. So that get automatically revoked. So this is again user-friendly amendment. It is user-friendly because government will get the tax. Because at least taxpayer can pay the tax, that fee, whatever applicable, and if he required, he can again start the business. So this is an user-friendly amendment. Now many of the litigation will get reduced with respect to cancellation of registration. So we had discussed 4 key amendments which are notified. So some of the other amendments are also notified. First of all, duty script amendment. तो duty script amendment जो है notification 14/22, तो वहाँ उसमें explanation add किया है under rule 43 and now ड्यूटी क्रेडिट स्क्रिप्ट जो भी सप्लाई होता है, इशू क्या था, अगर मैं ड्यूटी क्रेडिट स्क्रिप्ट सप्लाई कर रही हूँ, दैट इज exempted supply, whether ITC is required to be reversed. So now it is said that such reversal is not required. Definitely this is the user friendly amendment for the taxpayer. Now such a confusion that whether I have to reverse the credit or not, what is there. So in case of supply of the duty free credit slip, even it is an exempted supply, it is not required to reverse the ITC. Only the case is, what about the ITC is already reversed? So nothing is said about that. If I had reversed earlier any input tax credit, whether that taxpayer can reclaim or not, this is not clarified or even not given in the notification. So it's unanswered. Second amendment is with respect to e-invoicing. So friends, everyone aware about the from April 22, e-invoicing is made applicable. So invoice for the taxpayer having the turnover more than 20 crore. So अभी जो e-invoicing applicable है, तो वो e-invoicing applicable है to the taxpayer जिनका भी turnover 20 crore के आगे है. So but there are certain exclusion, मतलब जैसे GTA है, banking transaction है, these are the exclusion who are not such a we can see for the transaction, they are not required to raise the e-invoicing. So these are excluded from the applicability of the e-invoicing, even the turnover is more than 20 crore or the prescribed limit. So for example, we'll say GTA. तो इनको अंडर रूल 46S उनको whatever tax invoice they are going to issue is required to declare that even the aggregate turnover and that declaration specified in the 46S अगर आप देखोगे तो उसमें वर्डिंग दिया हुआ है डिक्लेरेशन, वो वैसे के वैसे टैक्स इनवॉइस पे डिक्लेयर करना है कि मेरा टर्नओवर, और we hereby declare that even the aggregate turnover for the said financial onwards is more than specified and e-invoicing applicable, I am not required to generate the e-invoicing as per the rules specified. So this declaration is mandatory. So please start, if e-invoicing is not applicable, then please start the same. It is already notified by way of notification 2220. So it's notified. Please start this changes in the tax invoice accordingly. Other amendments which are notified, limitation period of 73. So every authority is now in hurry because 17-18 time period is time limitation of issuance of the notices under section 73 is going to be completed in this month. But now this is extended. This time period under section limitation under section 73 has extended till the 30th September. So 30th September SCN issue कर सकते हैं section 73 के अंदर. So this time period has definitely section 73 में आपको OIR issue करना है before the 3 months of the SCN. So accordingly, this 30th September 23 has extended till the section 73 time limitation extended till the 30th September 23. Second amendment, UPI and IMPS provided in the additional mode for the GST payment. So these two modes are also prescribed for the GST payment. So these are the certain miscellaneous amendment. अभी हमने जो भी अमेंडमेंट डिस्कस किए अभी तक के वो सब नोटिफाई हुए हैं, इम्प्लीमेंट हुए हैं. सो प्लीज स्टार्ट विद द एनी चेंजेस इफ एप्लीकेबल, प्लीज स्टार्ट इमीडिएटली. नाउ the amendment which are yet to be notified. So this amendment which yet to be notified but recommended by the G47 GST Council meeting. So these are required to be so present exemption जो भी IGST का है related to the FTP regarding the EPCG advance authorization, that will continue for this year also. Second, mandatory registration. So we had said about the mandatory registration with respect to e-commerce. It is not yet notified. So rule is given, but the amendment is not notified. So mandatory registration for persons supplying the goods through e-commerce is subject to. So abhi ka scenario, what is the scenario or what was the scenario? If any taxpayer supplying through the e-commerce operator like Amazon, Flipkart, तो उनको मैंडेटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन था और जो 20 लाख 40 लाख जो भी लिमिट है दैट वाज नॉट एप्लीकेबल टू दैट टैक्स पेयर, वो लिमिट एप्लीकेबल नहीं था. But now it is said that mandatory registration has waived and the aggregate turnover limit is applicable. तो आपका 20 लाख तक वो registration नहीं लगेगा, subject to certain condition. First condition है the aggregate turnover on all India basis does not exceed specified turnover. मतलब जो भी 20 lakh 40 lakh applicable turnover है, this condition is मतलब acceptable. But next condition what is they had given, the person is not required to make the interstate supply. So friends, here it is said कि person is not required to make interstate supply. But आपको पता है जब भी कोई डीलर Amazon through और Flipkart through sale करता है, तो the intention is to explore the market, and even it is within India and some within India, and sometimes there is an Amazon for the outside India also. But it's will up to India at least, the intention is to supply it interstate also. So it is very difficult to satisfy this condition with respect to the supply through the e-commerce operator. Again, this is not yet clarified or notified. So after notification, we'll get more detailed revisit what is interstate supply they are saying, whether through Amazon or through Flipkart or through e-commerce operator is also included, or also the condition for the prescribed. Then the e-commerce operator, once one interstate supply is there, then required to be registered under the GST. And 3B में हमने देखा कि 3B में टेबल ऑलरेडी इंट्रोड्यूस किया है for reporting purpose. Second change is with respect to composition. So what is the scenario? Composition taxpayer can't supply through the e-commerce operator. मतलब अगर मैंने composition scheme ऑफ किया है, then I can go not the condition is that I can't go from the Amazon or Flipkart. But now this condition proposed or recommended to remove. So even the composition taxpayer or the whoever the taxpayer supplying intrastate supply through e-commerce subject can opt for the composition scheme. Again, that is subject to certain condition, and that the condition is yet to prescribe. So this is amendment is yet we can discuss more about this amendment once it get notified. Other amendment क्या है? The taxable supply of department post. So department of post के जो भी taxable services that certain are covered under the RCM, certain are forward charge. Now it would be subject to forward charge only. Second, जो 5% and तो जो GTA है, तो GTA के केस में हमने already एक amendment देखी है जो e-invoicing की है. अगर आप GTA हो तो अगेन another amendment है that is related to GTA having a two rates, 5% without ITC and 12% with ITC. तो ये दो रेट में वो कौन सा भी ऑप्ट कर सकता है. So any opting of the rate is to be exercised in the beginning of the financial year. So it is compulsory that if GTA intend to change the rate, that is instead of 12% up to 5% or 5%, that should be exercised at the beginning of the financial year and applicable to complete financial year. So these are the certain recommendations which are yet to be notified. Then friend, if you see the press release, there are many amendments with respect to GST rate. So for GST rate, refer the press release in detail, but some key highlights we will discuss in this session. First of all, in the press release itself, it is said that the whatever change in with respect to GST rates of goods or services will be applicable from the 18 July 2022. तो 18 जुलाई 22 से एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा. आज आपको पता है कि मतलब there are many few days remain to applicable the change in rate. So please see the press this. So today is the 13 July. It will get applicable from the 18 July. Notifications is not yet issued. Notification issue नहीं हुए हैं. But press release said that it is applicable from the 18 July. So quickly, maybe in 1 day or before 2 days, notification will get issued. But before that, you should be prepared for the change, and hence if any change applicable, be prepared for the change. क्योंकि अगर बीच में implement करना है, so definitely there are going to be get the litigation onwards about the provisions like time of supply, place of supply, transitional provision. So litigation would be there in the future. So be prepared for the 18 July change. Accordingly, your system is also changed. Your billing system is also ready for the revised rate. So every change should be on 18 July. Definitely, in our humble request to the GST Council that the never say that between the date change, because it's very difficult for the taxpayer to change their systems, etc. But now at least it's prescribed for 18 July. So be ready with the change. Second, whatever change we see in the rate is measured because of the rate rationalization has recommended for the inverted duty structure. So what is the rate rationalization? So in case of inverted duty structure, let's say exempt है और withdraw है, तो उनका ITC जो है that will be get accumulated. Then because of that, they had mentioned that to maintain that, or they can use the ITC and reduce the cost of ITC, that rate is increased up. Again, certain exemption has been withdrawn. So if we see, certain rate rationalization changes are with respect to solar water heater. So उसका जो rate था वो 5% था, that is increased up. Again leather के related rate increase हुए हैं. So this increase in rate will affect the industry for whom ITC was not the cost. And वो कौन से रहते हैं? Mainly the manufacturer के लिए ITC रहता है, mainly the small dealer. Small dealer, many times what happens, small dealer opt for the composition scheme or some scheme, or maybe their ITC is very minimal. So in such a cases, it will get affect or it will increase the product cost. Second, increase in rate with respect to goods like works contract services supplied to government. So works contract services जो government के हैं, तो some works contract services provided to the government are now taxable, or some rate has been increased from lower rate to increase. So please see that. Definitely whoever the government contractor, they should affect or they may affect, because many times we had seen that the government contract are inclusive of all taxes. So whatever the tender they issue with the inclusive of all taxes, whatever rate decided are inclusive of all rated. And now sudden change in the rate or sudden increase in the rate, withdrawn of the exemption, will lead to affect that tender or the contract. And hence, please see the contract, revisit the contract in such a cases. Now one major key change is that is related to renting of the residential dwelling to the business entity. पहले क्या था, whatever the renting of the residential dwellings was exempted. मतलब अगर let's say मैंने employee को or any company has given to the employee for residential purpose, then that is exempted. But now this exemption is withdrawn if that dwelling is to the businesses. मतलब अगर let's say renting business entity को दिया है and that is of residential dwelling, then that is not exempted. For example, let's say residential dwelling है और मैं अगर business purpose के लिए renting के लिए ले रही हूँ और I am registered under the GST, I am a business entity, then this exemption of the GST is not available. GST is levied on the renting. Definitely the purpose was to tax the business use of the residential dwelling, but it will affect the certain taxpayer also. Like again, this is not yet notified. Whenever there is wording like a unregistered person to registered person, what happens if the renting is by the unregistered person to the registered person? So this is not clarified. Whenever this amendment get notified or wording we'll discuss again about this amendment. But this amendment will affect many of the persons once it gets notified. Second, one key amendment we had not included in the this presentation. It is related to the healthcare services. In our mind always is there, if there is in healthcare services that is exempt under the GST. Earlier, definitely we can say that is true. But now if room rent is above 5,000, then it is liable to GST. So earlier room rent is a composite supply and it is exempted as a healthcare services, but now it will affect the healthcare industry and also it will increase the price of the your treatment or healthcare industry overall. Many other changes are with respect to goods. So we had given the press release link here back. So please see that link. If any goods read or if you are supplying any goods with respect to that, then be ready for to the 18th July. So we had given this PPT, we will share and you can refer the link. Now clarifications issue. there are certain clarifications also issued via circulars. So we had discussed many clarification during the subject itself, like inverted duty clarifications we had discussed during the inverted duty only when we had discussed inverted duty related changes. But the fake invoicing related clarification is pending. So we'll discuss about the fake invoicing related clarification. And many of us waiting for that circular regarding fake invoicing. So friends, let's that circular discusses the three scenario. तो फेक इनवॉइसिंग का जो भी सर्कुलर इशू हुआ है वो 3 सिनेरियो रेफर करते हैं. तो व्हाट आर द 3 सिनेरियोस? फर्स्ट सिनेरियो इज, लेट्स से A had issued the fake invoicing. मतलब A ने B को सप्लाई किया without only they have A supplied invoices to the B without any underlying supply of the goods and services. तो गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज का सप्लाई नहीं हुआ, ए ने बी को सप्लाई किया, तो ए का क्या हुआ? आउटवर्ड सप्लाई विदाउट एनी अंडरलाइंग सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. एंड बी के लिए क्या हो गया? इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. सो पहला केस था व्हाट एक्शन कैन बी टेकन अगेंस्ट द ए. सो फ्रेंड्स, व्हाट कैन बी द एक्शन दैट इज कैन बी टेकन अगेंस्ट ए? सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सर्कुलर सेज दैट as A supplied to the B without any underlying supply of the goods and services, that means it's not covered under section 7. तो ये जो सप्लाई है वो सेक्शन 7 में कवर नहीं होता है सप्लाई में. सो फ्रॉम द A the no action can be taken under section 73-74. That means the authorities or the demand cannot be demanded, or tax cannot be demanded, or GST cannot be demanded under section 73-74 because there is no supply at all and that's not covered under the section 7. But the A, matlab the supplier is liable to the penal action under section 122(1)(2). So section 122 has given penal action with respect to certain offenses. Under section 2 it is said that the offense regarding the issuing the tax invoices without supply. So penal action can be proceeded against the A. Now same scenario, that the A supplied goods, A supplied the invoices to the B without any supply of the goods and services. Now what is the consequences for B? So B's consequences first depend on the outward supply. मतलब अगर A ने B को सप्लाई किया और B ने सप्लाई किया टू द जेन्युइन टैक्स पेयर विद द अंडरलाइंग सप्लाई ऑफ द, मतलब B का जो आउटवर्ड सप्लाई है दैट इज विद द सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स. तो B ने सिर्फ इनवॉइस नहीं इशू किए, आउटवर्ड सप्लाई जो भी है विद द अंडरलाइंग सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज, एंड B यूज्ड दैट क्रेडिट टू दैट सप्लाई. देन द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस इज रिवर्सल ऑफ ITC अंडर along with the interest of section 50. तो इंटरेस्ट एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा, बी को वो ITC रिवर्स करना होगा, एंड अंडर सेक्शन 74 के जो भी कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस है दैट विल गेट एप्लीकेबल टू द बी. नाउ सेकंड सिनेरियो बी के बारे में हो सकता है कि बी ने जो भी ITC विद रिस्पेक्ट टू फेक इनवॉइसिंग हैज अगेन यूज्ड टू इशू द फेक इनवॉइसिंग. मतलब आउटवर्ड सप्लाई ऑफ बी इज आल्सो द इनवॉइसेस that is not with the supply of the goods and services. Then in such a cases, as there is a no supply from the B, that is again not covered under the section 7, so no tax will be collected on the output supply from the B. ITC will be ineligible definitely under section 16 to B. So B to C under the provision under section 73-74 were not applicable, but B is liable for the penal action of both, that is 122(2) and 122(1)(7. So ये दो जो penal action है, that for 2 penal action under section 2 the B is liable. So these 3 scenarios with respect to fake invoicing has discussed in the circular. For fake invoicing, if you want to read the circular, then read the circular 171(3)(22). So I think we had discussed clarification also. Now certain clarification is recommended to be issued with respect to services as well as with respect to goods that is not yet issued, like duty ambiguity with respect to ice cream and ice cream parlor. Everyone aware about the 5% rate applicable or 18% rate applicable to ice cream parlor. that is going to be or that is recommended to clarify, like exemption under section 24, that is in or belt fiber. So certain such clarifications are recommended in the press release. However, that clarification is yet to issue. So whenever it will get issued, we will discuss in detail. So even with respect to goods also, like electrical vehicle eligible for the concessional rate, whether or not fitted or 5%, that clarifications awaited. So these are certain recommendation or clarification. Again, GST press release has discussed about the or re-examine. GST Council has said that it will re-examine the GST rates or the application in case of the GST on casino, race course, online gaming, etc. So this is again more clarifications is required. So it is going to be re-examined or discussed in the next meetings. So I think we had took the overview of the meeting as well as whatever the amendment notified. Any query we can discuss